There's got to be 15 different live streams going on or something here. Oh, see, we got. Okay, guys, we are live. Hello, everyone.
Are
That
we?
worked.
Ooh, we are.
This technology.
We did it.
We did
We
it.
did it.
The tech stream is going. Okay, guys. So we are live here for the first time. I'm just glad Hassan tried to convince me. We're in the same building, but he tried to convince me we should also really be in the same room. So imagine two cameras, two microphones talking to each other. It was like a beeping hysteria going on at one point. So that was a horrible idea. I'm glad I killed it. Thanks, Hassan.
I'm just championing the people. I think that's what the people wanted.
You think? Yeah, maybe
Um,
they did. Maybe they did.
yeah,
Cool.
but no, I mean, if we would have had like a mixer and stuff with big
Yeah,
microphones,
that
and
would
I
have been
mean,
nice.
one day, one day.
One day, someday we're gonna get it. Someday we're gonna get it all. Perfect. So everyone, great to have you here. We are, like I said, live for the first time. We got a few people on. We got likes and all. So I'm hoping that this is gonna fly really well. And but like I said, we are in the same building here, just outside the Barcelona. And let me just give you an idea about what we're going to talk about today. So a few weeks ago, Hassan and I got this mad idea that we should try and build a startup in 4 days. So can you build and launch a startup in 4 days? And we sort of like maybe. Well, it depends on what you're building, right? And but we insisted. I said, okay, we wanted to see if it's possible. So we started looking at, hey, what risks are there? What could stop us, and so on and so forth. And we did, and said, okay, let's just do this thing. So we started this morning. This is day one of our little project here. We are in, like I said, we are in down in Barcelona. We have a house just outside Barcelona, a small city called Sitges. Um, and we've been working all day. And I'm here with Hassan, and then we have another guy helping us called Levin. He helps with marketing and so on. And then we have a guy up in Stockholm, Staffan, who also helps us get things going. But we have 4 days to build this thing. So let's start there. Hassan, what do you think? What do you still think it's a good idea, or is it a horrible idea now?
I mean, today was a very, very interesting day, right? Like we're gonna talk, I guess, a little bit more about how it went. But
Yep.
no, I think we still have a good chance.
Shot at
As
making it.
as with everything, when we're building from scratch, right? Like the goalposts are going to change. What we're building is gonna change the more we learn stuff. So
Totally.
I think like that has been the most yeah, surprising because already we're struggling in a good way, I would say,
Yeah.
with these things. So
Totally. Let's
yeah.
let's start with that though. What are we building, right? So obviously we had a little bit of debate. Hassan is really, apart from being an incredible developer, also a like total AI expert. So we're definitely going to build something based on AI, and we are. So the product we decided to build is a product for content creators. It's quite a lot a product for people like me, people that do YouTube, people do podcasts. We have one big challenge, and it is we spend a lot of time on not building what we're good at, like content. Instead, we write all these texts. We spend just a lot of time building show notes, descriptions, keywords, social posts. Literally, it could be several hours for everything you do. You have to build some data, and we thought maybe we could build like a really fancy product around that, so that the people that build content can do that automatically. What do you want to? What more should we say about it? Hassan? We're going to show some things here too, by the way. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, yeah. I think there's in general, a lot of the solutions that are out there right now, just for content creators in general, they're very, very generalized. I think like most people, what they do is they go on ChatGPT or any other LLM, and they try to come up with titles and keywords and descriptions, and that's not even taking into account the social posts, right? And it's
No.
usually like very generic. It has nothing to do with anything you've built before, and it kind of sucks. You end up wasting your time, and then you just build the whole thing, like you write the whole thing from scratch, right?
Yeah.
So what's out there right now definitely does not work. At the same time, what's interesting about what we're doing is we don't know if it's going to work, right?
We think it's going to work.
Um,
Yeah.
we think it's going to work, but we don't know that it's going to work for sure. I mean, there's in general with AI apps that there is uncertainty in anything
Yeah,
you're building, right? Because it's not like I can just build something and make sure always that it's going to work. Obviously, there's a lot of things tech-wise that I can do to reduce some of these issues, but
yeah,
we're gonna see. I think it's gonna be exciting to see, like, if it works at all and how well it works, and then it could be amazing. It could be like the best thing ever,
totally, totally.
and it could suck. And I'm honestly just excited to see.
Yeah. So just to give people a little bit idea of sort of the tech or the basic. So the idea is that we inject videos like a YouTube video or a podcast, and then the AI sort of trains a model, so that next time you do a podcast, you just upload the podcast, and then the AI figures out everything else. So it's meant to be like a magical experience when you launch. So instead of sitting there fighting and doing all this text, you just upload the file, and out comes everything you're going to need for that. And
Yeah.
that sort of takes us to our first goalpost. So you've been building all day, Hassan, and the goal for today was to build the injection, so that it could eat YouTube videos and eat podcasts. And how did that go for good and bad?
Aye. So one thing about me, so I've been building stuff for a very long time, and when you do that, you start becoming a little too perfectionist, I would say.
Yeah,
Like,
it's dangerous.
obviously, it's important to just like release,
Yeah,
right? But at the same time, there is a minimum amount of, I would say, like user experience that you need to have. And specifically for stuff like this, like for inputting things, like it's the stuff where, okay, when I open an app and let's say I want to input my YouTube feed into it, right? I expect it to be so easy. I expect it to be where I just paste in my URL and it just works. And it just works. A lot of people don't realize how much work goes into that. Like, the way you can post a URL can be 5 different ways. And it's the developer's job to just, instead of saying, oh, like some people will say, hey, the URL you post has to be exactly like this and make sure it
yeah.
matches like this. And it
Humans are
starts
not like
bugging you.
that, right?
And I hate that. I hate when
Yeah,
apps do that. It's like, just, I'm sure you can figure it out. And so that's what I did. So now we're inputting things in 3 different not even formats, but 3 different entire things, which is the RSS feed of a
yeah,
podcast and the Apple podcast feed of a podcast, or like a link to an Apple podcast,
yeah.
and a link to your YouTube channel, right? So 3 separate mediums, if you want to call them. And in these 3 separate mediums, each of them has like, I think like 3 or 4 different ways that people can link to them. So all you have to do, or like what I've built today is you just paste in a link and it figures it all out, right? It grabs all the information about your podcast or whatever content you have,
Descriptions, notes, everything.
everything, description, notes, titles, even like links to other data that we're going to be using when we're generating content later, right? And then it also grabs obviously the episodes. But more importantly, you need to be able to choose which episodes to run. So Raw Startup actually is a really good example because you're a very diverse channel. So although you might link your YouTube, you only want maybe like the Founders Weekly episodes. So you need to be able to just select those. So, and everything needs to be very snappy, right? It needs to just work. Um, so yeah, like a lot of my day has been going into that. And then also all this data, you bring it in, and it's not like I bring it and I throw it away. I have to save it somewhere. And when you're saving data, sure, you can dump all of it maybe like in a text file somewhere, but then it becomes a bit useless, right? So I had to come in, figure out all this data. What does it look like? What structure does it have?
Structure.
How reliable is it? Like, are the publishing dates always there? Is it sometimes there? And then design a database schema around that, right? So and do all of this importing, and then allow people to delete and add and all the stuff that you don't usually take into account when just building stuff like this. Yeah.
So it's all
So
so you're saying it's working now, right? That it can actually do it. My camera is weird though. There you go.
there you go.
So it's
Yeah.
working. You can do that. And the
Hmm.
cool thing here is that before we started this project, when you build a project for yourself, like, hey, this is a product that I'm gonna like, you have to be careful because there's a risk of, yeah, you like it, you're the only one who's gonna ever want this product. So it's something we really warn startup founders. So we did a little bit of validation before, talked to creators and so on, and we're gonna bring someone on here. I think he'll be here any second, and then we're gonna see if it actually works. We're going to try and take his podcast and see if it actually works in the system. So that's going to be fun to see. But the idea for today was being able to inject things, and it looks like we got there. I know we
Hmm.
had some hiccup, Hassan. What happened?
I
While
mean,
you do that,
plenty
I'm
of
going to let
hiccups.
Stoya in, but keep talking, keep talking. Let's talk about the hiccup.
Oh, beautiful AI, right? Like the big hiccup was I was working. So as part of what I just explained, I had this, as Trump would call it, this beautiful file, right? That had like all the crazy algorithms to do all of this. If you post any link, it needs to figure out the right one, all of that. And then I ran like a single like AI command to help me with the coding, and it just deleted the entire file. And usually, like you can undo or something. No, that thing was gone, and this was
Oh, wow.
hours of work. And then yeah, so I had to rewrite that from
Yeah,
scratch
that's
again.
that's painful, painful.
But such is life.
Such is life. What's to do? Okay, we have Stoyan on now. So, Stoyan, welcome. You are
Yeah.
a speaker, a podcaster, and so on. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we dig in.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here, guys.
Welcome.
Your eyes look a little red, but that's good because you're building, so that's great. I'm a former movie
Yeah.
and video producer turned into a productivity and performance coach, professional speaker, and a podcaster as well. That's the kind of the short version, and I'm excited
Amazing.
to learn. Again, my podcast is called Productivity Mastery. Guests like Heine, incredible people. Actually, we're gonna have episode 200 next week, so great timing to do a little bit of something. And I'm excited to hear
Fantastic.
about this too. When Heine told me about it, I was like, I need something like that if it works. So I'm now excited to see how far
So
you
the
guys
only
come.
unknown that we have now is, does it work? And you're not going to see it totally there yet. But this honestly, and this was the impression I got from a lot of people that I spoke to, is like, yeah, we've seen a few of those. They don't really work, and they're clumsy and so on. So we wanted to do it differently. But Hassan, you heard Hassan in the beginning. We don't know if this is going to work or not. We
Hmm.
think we might get it to work, but if it doesn't work, then it's like, yeah, I'm going to do it myself manually. So then it's not that interesting. So let's have a look, and let's have a look at Stoyan's podcast and see what happens. Can you take over the screen, Hassan?
Yeah, sure. So I will,
That's what we're
let's
hoping
see,
for,
how
at
do I
least.
do this? Boom, boom, boom. 1 second.
So some people might be listening, maybe right now, but at some point for sure. So we're going to explain what we do also here.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh wow,
All
we got a
right.
full screen here. So tell us what you built. So again, just to clarify, people, this is the injector. This is where we put all the content in, and then at some point we're going to build from this. Go ahead, Hassan, please.
Yes. So first of all, the idea here again is we want the person to come in and be able to just import what they have, so the podcast or whatever it is that they're doing, easily, and not just easily, no matter what this content medium is, right? So it could be an RSS feed, it could be Apple Podcasts in this case, it could be a YouTube URL, it could be a YouTube playlist, and obviously we want to add more and more things overall. So and that's why like the actual data structure is also very let's just call it liberal, right? It accepts anything. So in this case, so Stoyan, so are you, which one do you want to go with? Maybe like Apple
YouTube,
Podcasts
man.
or?
Go YouTube because there's video, right?
Sure, let's do that.
Are you pretending that you didn't test this before, Hassan? But I hope you did.
I tested it with Raw Startup. Actually,
Oh,
we
good,
should
good.
do an Apple Podcast. Do you have Apple Podcast?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Oh, maybe we'll do
Okay.
both.
You want me to send you a link or
Let's
you
do
you
it.
find it?
Yeah, just send me the link.
Okay. I'll
Yeah,
just put it in the chat. Is there a chat here? Like
I
yeah. Then
think
it's
so.
yeah,
It
like a
is.
little bit of a secret promotion too. You can tell everybody about it. That's nice.
there you go, man.
Yes.
But I don't know where's the chat though. That's my only.
There's a chat, I think, on the right side
Okay, let me
of
try here.
the.
Yeah,
says
everybody
people and it
subscribe
says
to the
chat.
podcast. Don't be shy. I'm
No.
trying to find the chat though. I'm not sure I have it as a guest. Um,
Okay, I'm
okay,
gonna find it
got
and
it,
send.
got it.
You find
Live
it. Perfect.
stream chat. Okay, there you go. That should be the one.
All right. Yes. Perfect.
Okay, so let's have a look
Cool.
at what is happening here. So I want to make
Okay.
sure
Oh,
that
this is
people are
perfect. This is
seeing the
perfect.
screen.
I really hope this works. So we're gonna do Apple Podcast, and what's cool is that this is a Apple Podcast URL, which actually usually doesn't have any information other than just the title and stuff. But the magic tool here should fetch everything. Bam.
Boom.
So
Look at
this
that.
is all the info, right? You, the category, your website. Apparently, this is the description of it. And while I guess we're importing, we're also able to like edit things. So if something here like you don't like, we can just go in and change it, stuff like that before it goes into the system. But this looks good.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna go ahead and press save. Amazing. So now it brought in, so it created the project, right? You can see it here, productivity mastery.
Mhm.
And it brought in all the releases. So it looks like, yeah, you're in 196 episodes. You were right, very close to 200. Yeah, so now what we're going to do is essentially select the podcasts you want to use as the base training data, right? So this is especially useful for, again, like someone like Heine that has, let's say, the Raw Startup channel. And for example, if I were to import Raw Startup here, you would see like videos that are unrelated to, let's say, the Founders Weekly podcast.
So is
So you
there
can,
different categories, right? Yeah.
yeah, so you can choose and yeah, select what you need, and it goes max to 10. We're trying, for cost reasons, right? You have to be smart with cost when building a startup, but also because like anything more than 10 is not really going to help us.
No.
So I'm going to import, and that's where we're at right now. So this imports everything, it adds it to a database, and then in the background, what's going on is it's also transcribing everything. So it's pulling in all of these podcasts and it's transcribing them. And actually, one thing that I didn't show was there was a preview thing. I actually don't have it here, but it was on the previous page where you're able to very quickly preview a podcast right before just to see like, oh, is this the one I want to include or not? But that's it. I mean, it's super simple, and that's
It's
the
cool.
goal.
Yeah. Easy to use.
Yeah. The goal is for it to be to be easy to use, which is why it took us all day to do.
Yeah. So do you want to do a YouTube too, just for the fun of it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. One more.
All right.
What do you think, Stan? What do you think? This looks easy, right?
Yeah, super simple. I'm looking forward to see what are the features and what's coming
Yeah.
out from here, right? But
Still 3 days to go.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's day one. It's day one.
Yeah, exactly.
You want me to send you the channel?
Yeah, the YouTube link. So, but that's the thing, right? Like, see, that's how easy it is to onboard. We wanted it to be you just literally paste in a link and you're done, versus having to fill in a form or put in stuff or put in the videos and all of that. So, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go to the new page and
Look at that.
great.
Boom.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
I love the consistency. Heine's less consistent.
Yeah, he is. It's a mess.
And there it is.
There's a new
Same
episode.
thing.
I think Nicoletta from my team is just uploaded a new episode.
Oh,
this
now you're
one?
tricky.
There you go, man.
Yeah, no. It works. And yeah, again, like this is the preview thing. So you're able to like very quickly just go like, okay,
Then selected
look at
the
something,
different examples. Okay.
and then
very cool.
go back. Yeah.
Can watch from here. Good.
And I'm gonna import this one too. Fantastic. One thing here that if you notice, and this was actually for me testing, but I do have, so right now, if you notice, there's like two projects here. The reason both of these are selected here, I mean, I have them showing both, again, just for like testing purposes, because I wanted to like switch between. But in the back end, it did recognize that you are the same person. Although we did two different URLs, it did recognize that, okay, this is coming from the same podcast, and it linked
Really?
them. Yeah. So this is important because let's say again you're having two different things, like again completely two different mediums. Let's just call them. I want to be able to crisscross and figure out like, okay, this is the YouTube video from this audio that's coming from Apple, so that I can again do cool stuff with it later in the next 2 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's really cool. Look, again, this was our goal for today, and there were definitely hiccups here and there, but it was to inject. And then tomorrow, it's quite an ambitious goal because that's when we're talking output. We're talking output that so it can do show notes, it can do descriptions, and
Yeah.
also we've gotten more ambitious because we would like have social posts in there. That's going to take a little bit more training, but that's going
Yeah.
to be a part of it. I just want to say one thing I probably missed in the beginning. Our goal for these entire 4 days is to get at least one paying customer. So so if two people show up at your door and saying asking for money, that's us that sent them. You got to pay for this thing. No, I'm joking. So no, it's our goal will be to get there, right? And tomorrow we're also going to have like a Stefan on, who's going to be who is a bit of a growth hacker, and he's going to help us get out there. Go on Reddit and see Discord and so on. And someone like Justin, you know how long it takes to build an audience. 4 days usually not enough. So obviously I have a little bit of a following. We're going to use that. But to get to that one sale, it's going to be quite interesting, I must say.
I'm just curious. Did you guys think about pricing already? Like, what's the?
Yes. No, let's turn that around. We should ask you that question.
We
No,
should. We
the question
should.
is first. The question is first. What is the like in your vision right now? What's the final product look like? What are some of the core features you guys are going to
But
provide? Because now is day one, right? I can't see the.
Yeah. No.
So
yeah.
give me a little
By
bit.
the way, just because I want to like stop sharing the screen so
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
people
go
can
ahead.
see us. But also like one thing that I spent time on today is just again building those like simple things, like being able to go in and have like all your settings and all your account stuff and payments and all of that is set up now, so we don't have to worry about that in the next few days. And I also added like team
Time
members.
consuming.
So when you sign up, you're part of a team, which means like let's say you're on their store, and then you can like invite maybe like someone that's responsible for uploading stuff or doing your releases, and you can all like manage things. So we're already enterprisey, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Enterprise ready, which is really good.
Yeah. So
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So the idea is that every time you release, Diane,
Hmm.
once you've been injected, and like you have almost been injected already. The thing you do when you said you had a partner that uploaded, you just take the file and upload it,
Yeah.
and then you're done. Then the system transcribes the entire thing, gets all the headlines, everything done for you. And again, we're hoping for including social posts so that it just saves you hours and hours on building these things. That's sort of the basic idea.
Hmm. I understand that, and if I may, I mean, you guys have a goal for 4 days, but I'm just curious and wondering whether that can also have some feature. One of the biggest kind of pain points for me these days is once the podcast is done, how do we create the short video snippets for every episode?
Mm.
And right now, I tried many different tools like Opus and all these kind of different tools. I don't like what the tools are selecting, and I know there's some companies and some people working on creating more of a chat based sort of like agent that I can just say, hey, find me 6 videos of 90 seconds that the focus, like that's what I need. some
Yeah.
some sort of like a chat GPT, sort of like a model that can
Find the
literally
interesting
create
parts.
exactly. So on the one side it's the uploading part, which is of course saving time, and the descriptions, like but even for me personally, even more interesting is
The shorts.
the shorts, the content.
Yeah.
It could be actually longer
Mhm.
ones, not only short. Sometimes it could be like can you create 6-minute video where you emphasize on these three things.
Yeah. Tell me
uh
this story. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then I want like the other thing is I'm using video editors, and they're great, by the way, love them. um but it would be even better if I can say, hey, can you make the subtitles to be bigger? I want them to be in this font, like just with the text, not because I hate the go and you can try it out and it's like they give you just six options for so I like it to be a little bit more of a I want it to be darker blue,
Yeah.
put the font like this, when I'm saying cut it off, like just to be able to so I can have the repurposing content. So that's what
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's 4 days, so I don't
Yeah,
have.
it's definitely out of scope for these 4 days.
Sure.
We've talked about it. Video is
Hmm.
tricky. I mean, it's tricky and insanely competitive.
Mm.
And I can't help thinking when these guys, some of the competitors that you mentioned, if they can't get it right, I get a little bit concerned. I think it's
Yeah.
incredibly hard. I'm not sure technology is quite there yet. What do you say, Hassan?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, these are things where we can definitely do something, but sometimes you have to like stick to number one, like what you're good at. And especially with when there's other companies like Heine said, where like this is their focus. Um, I wouldn't want us to like go out there and compete with them. If they can do it, there's probably a good reason. And I know for a fact that a lot of these companies are getting ridiculous amounts of funding right now, right? Just to solve this problem. So because that's the other thing, what the problem with video, specifically like video gen AI, is the cost. Like it has the highest cost of all the worlds because there's so much bandwidth because videos are just big, right, that you're working with. And also just doing all of this generative AI stuff with video is very expensive, like very, very, very expensive. Already transcribing is expensive for us, and that's why like we're trying to figure out pricing, and that's not even close to what like doing gen
Wouldn't
AI on
cover it.
like a whole video would
No.
be. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So let me
So
give you one thing though, because look, you're obviously right. This is definitely a thing that a lot of people want. We are playing around with pictures, so thumbnails and maybe photos for you, so you can have a different photo for each podcast, for example. So we've been playing with that. We felt it was a little bit outside the 4 days too.
Mm.
So it's very text heavy for this first release here. But pricing. Back to the actual question you had. What is it? What kind of other services do you use, and how much do you pay for them, and what do you think?
So if you're looking into the scope of the 4 days, right? What you
Yeah,
guys are trying to,
yeah, exactly.
I think it's probably going to be something, you know, 10-20 euro.
Yeah, yeah. That
Yeah,
is literally where we're starting.
you
Yeah,
know, if you look into the whole videos I were discussing, maybe if you guys decide to develop in half a year, like I don't know how much time, I'm not a tech guy, then you can go, you know, 50 to 100 maybe, like
yeah,
maybe more, I don't know, but I think for these kind of functions, probably 10 to 20 euro, something like that.
yeah.
does that what about thumbnail generation? Does that matter? So what I mean by matter is there are tools that produce thumbnails right now. However, the difference is I can see specifically for someone like you, like when we
Mm.
just put in your feed, you're very consistent, right? It always looks exactly the same. You have like the guests on there, you have a little title that's different, and then like something that's from within the podcast, right? What if it can figure that out? It can produce exactly like your kind of thumbnail every single time, or is it something where I already have a template for it, it takes me 10 minutes, or is it not?
Kind of both. We have a template. It doesn't really take much time. I think would be interesting is actually to make it a little bit different. The same kind of vibe,
Mm,
but right now we are using still photos from the guests, right? Like so it's not from the
yeah.
episode. And I'm doing podcast which is online, which is a decision because I don't want to complicate it, right?
No, simple.
But if you can take a shot from the actual podcast and make it a little bit more interesting, not exactly the same. Like actually, I don't want it to be exactly the same. It's just the simplest way to do it. So if it does that,
That's
but
worth it.
literally it take us, I don't know, like 1 minute to change the template now. So it doesn't really,
All right.
you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if it's
yeah.
something that makes it a little bit more interesting, and then it's
So,
again
so
the
it's
same
more
value.
interesting to improve rather than to just like do more of the same.
Yeah, exactly. Something that's the same kind of vibe and branding and style, but maybe it adds a little bit so it's it's more interesting. So
Yeah.
there's
Mm,
this kind of novelty a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah. A
yeah.
variation. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
But it's just
So it
me.
doesn't.
It's just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. It's perfect. Perfect. Very
stuff,
cool,
guys.
Hassan.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I think so. So let's. So we're gonna wrap it up here in just a second. I think there is a chat somewhere, and I think the people that are online can also ask questions. So if you have any questions, I think you can put it in the comments. I think it will pop up here. So please do feel free to do so. I think, Stein, when you were outside, I think you did that, right? So let's see if something comes up. I
By the
think I see
way,
you.
there are two streams.
Yeah, I know. I realized that now. It's yeah, that was the technical problem we had. So I
Yeah.
hope there's like millions of people on one of them because there's not that many on the one I'm looking at. No. It's because I have to grab the scheduled stream. It's tomorrow night. We're gonna know exactly how to do this. We're streaming on 2 channels live. Isn't that incredible?
That
So
is-
it's a big deal. Cool. Okay, we're going to wrap it up here. So we're going to be on tomorrow again. And tomorrow we are actually going to show some output, which I think is going to be a key thing here. So to see how this thing works, a lot of pressure on building that right now. So that's super duper exciting. And apart from that, I'm just going to say thank you very much for everyone watching. And Stoyan, thank you for coming on. And Hassan, he needs a good night's sleep soon. So we're going to get to that very soon too.
Cheers, guys. Keep
Thank
building.
you.
We're gonna keep watching.
Yes, please do. Thank you. See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, thanks,
So
guys.
I'm going to check if we're out. I think we're out, but
Yeah, you are.
No.
You are. It's gone.
so,
Cheers,
Nice.
guys.
so-
Good stuff. Good stuff. Is that gonna be just the 4-day thing, or you guys gonna keep building afterwards? What's the
yeah, it depends on how it goes, I guess.